Hey guys, it's me, and today I'm going to be talking about The Promised Neverland, episode 3. It's the show that I really decided to pursue after my sampler. That doesn't mean that I disliked the other shows or that I'm not going to be continuing them in the future. It just means that the one that I'm really going to dive into first is The Promised Neverland. My reasons for it is it's generally shorter. I loved the uniqueness of the animation, which I guess for some people that's not super unique, but for me and a lot of the shows I've watched, it's beautiful, but also it's kind of childlike. And Kat, if you throw up, we are gonna have words. I'm house sitting for my parents. The drama, the intensity of everything, the soundtrack, and the use of silence, I find really beautiful and wonderful. And so that's the one that I'm focused on. I love Steins Gate. I understand there's been some angst about my decision to go with the dubbing as opposed to the subs, but I'm going to watch what I like, and I'm sorry, like that's just what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna be honest about stuff. I'm not on this channel. I am not gonna suffer through something that I don't necessarily enjoy. It's just that no. So I did not like the subtitled version. I think because a lot of elements of Japanese culture are lost on me, which I understand that's frustrating to some people, but you also have to understand that I'm not going to learn about those facets of culture from watching a show that I don't enjoy. So I might come to understand certain elements that I otherwise don't understand, like by watching this show. So just be aware that it's a learning process. So there's Steins Gate, and then Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is it's a classic. At least the original was, I assume. I mean, when people talk about Full Metal Alchemist now, they're usually referencing Brotherhood, which the fact that it's that is able to kind of not eliminate, but definitely become the predominant story of the two brothers tells me that it's going to be amazing. And I love the original. I understand that Brotherhood follows more the manga. I always want to say manga because it looks like mango. That tells you how not with it I am. But I understand that's what it follows more closely. So anyway, I'm excited to watch that one, and I will return to it at some point. Death Note, I'm sure I'll continue watching it at some point. It's not high on my priority list just because, I enjoyed the cat and mouse aspect of it, but it just seemed really bleak and really intense and emotionally fraught with just darkness and death, and I'm not gonna say I got enough of that in my life because I don't, but I felt like I would be watching that show and my nose is totally running. Are there tissues anywhere? No, but I do have hand warmers. I don't know why. I'm house sitting for my parents, and they got like the weirdest stuff. You want 1950s Tupperware coasters? Oh, they've got them. Anyway, so I totally lost Death Note. I need to stop rambling. I'm a horrible rambler. But anyway, so it's one that I'm sure I will continue at some point, but it just seemed like it would be emotionally difficult for me to continue at this point. So I'm not going to. That's not a critique on how great of a show it is. I'm sure it's great. I'm sure the characters are pretty interesting. I'm sure it's very tense and probably fun to react to, but I just don't want something that feels like it's going to suck the life out of me. So, anyway, so The Promised Neverland, which is funny because I'm sure you're probably feeling that way about The Promised Neverland and that there's going to be horrible things that happen, and I'm probably going to cry because you can't have a show about monsters eating children without some trauma. So let's dive into The Promised Neverland, episode 3. The things that I loved about this episode were that the kids, I'm just so fascinated by the ingeniousness of these children. And I wish I were as smart as a lot of these kids. The fact that they have a problem, they have thought of like a plan, and now they're going to train the other kids to follow their lead and to train them not only in the mind but in the body. That was awesome to watch, and it was a game. And I know I mentioned this in my reaction, but it really reminds me of Life is Beautiful, where the father takes the son, or the father takes the son to the concentration camp. No, the father and the son are sent to a concentration camp, and all the while he tries to make it seem like it's a game. And it just feels very much like they're trying to protect, just like the father trying to protect his son's innocence, the children are trying to protect the smaller ones from the trauma of the truth, and obviously the crazy, creepy mother and all that stuff. Sister is terrifying. She seems unhinged. She seems maniacal. She has a problem with regulating her emotions. She's freaking brilliant, which definitely makes me think that the mothers and the sisters were actually products of the program that these children have gone through, whether they have been traitors and have moved up into kind of the echelon. And yes, I have seen episode 5, so I'm recording this knowing some things that I otherwise wouldn't know after watching just episode 3. I'm assuming when people watch my reactions, they've watched the series. That's my hope. But I really feel like she was once one of the children, which just makes them so much creepier. And when she like leans over, and it's like, Emma. And I'm just like, they did a great job animating her and making like the shadows, making her seem way more menacing. She goes from being this with seemingly loving, playful woman to just being really menacing. It's just like, So anyway, I'm going to try and look back at my reaction. The usage of the clock. This show just does a really good job of taking atmospheric things and kind of translating them into a visual kind of enhancement. For instance, the time, using the clock to show passage of time, the movement of the camera to also show like the silence and the tenseness and the counting of the seconds, those types of things. I just feel like that's kind of a unique thing that I haven't seen in the other animes that I've watched. I'm trying to think of the other. Yes, so this is obviously where they're talking about the traitor. I now know who the traitor is, and I'm not going to say who it is until I get to that end of that episode. Because I've already seen episode 5, but yeah. But when I found out that when it says already a different person watching, it's just like, And now actually looking back at my reaction and looking back at what has been in the video, like in the episode, I'm like, oh yeah, that just, oh wow. I wish I had enough time to go back and rewatch all these shows knowing what's going to be happening, because even though I've only watched episode 5, like just rewatching parts of my reaction from episode 3, like I'm picking up on like nuances that I otherwise totally missed. So anyway, those are my thoughts. I'm really intrigued to hear more, or to learn more about the world. For instance, the monsters and the mother and the other farms and that type of thing, and maybe get some backstory from them so that I'm okay with them just staying evil individuals, but it would be interesting to see kind of how they transformed into these brutal characters that are farming children for slaughter. Like, how does someone get to that point? So I doubt this show's really going to dive into that, but then I could be surprised. So we'll see. All right. Well, I hope you guys have an awesome day. And I'm actually going to be recording for episode 4 and episode 5. So I will be in the same outfit, which you probably can't even see, but if you're wondering why, I mean, you'll know. I look the same. So anyway. Till next time. Bye.